Thank you all for your interest and participation in the seminar. Today we are hosting Dr. Rukiye Didem Taylan from Math Education Department from MEP University. The title of her talk is Teacher Reflection and Noticing. There will be a Q&A session after her talk. And the floor is yours, Dr. Taylan.
Thank you, Duygu Hocam. I'm very happy to be with you today. I'm happy to be at my alma mater. Today, I want to share with you a topic on teacher noticing and reflection. So let's start. Okay, I believe you can see my screen. This is the most popular question in online teaching. Okay. So today I want to talk about why do we assign so many reflection assignments and why it's so popular in Faculty of Education and how noticing and reflection are related. I want to give you a noticing activity that we can do together and discuss why do we even focus so much on noticing, why the term has been so popular lately, how to assess and enhance teacher noticing and some intervention examples, and examples from my own and others' research on teacher noticing. So I believe there are some of you who are already experts in teacher noticing and reflection. I hope it's not going to be so repetitious for you, and I look forward to the Q&A session too. So why engage in reflective practices? We keep hearing so much about reflective teacher, for example, as a motto for so many Faculty of Education program or many teacher education programs. So it goes back to the beginning of the 20th century even, and usually the father of reflection is considered as Dewey. And according to his notion, reflection is about identifying some problematic situations or perplexity and trying to generate some analysis of the situation and trying to develop some problems or come to understand the problem in new ways, in different ways. And it's usually very common in Faculty of Education during the internship when we try to bring theory and practice, knowledge and experience. And reflection plays the role of bridging between theory and practice, and it helps to complete the cycle of engaging in actions and maybe changing a situation, a teaching situation, a learning situation. And it leads to a transformation of the situation. I mean, it may lead to, probably not all reflections will lead to that, but at least it may play a role in changing a different cycle of actions. While I was reading for this session especially, I found this 3 criteria that in Dewey's original writings, he considered as essential in order to engage in true reflection. Because so many times we hear prospective teachers complain about it, and because they have to write so many reflections and they have to, we keep saying, okay, that's the reflection homework. And sometimes we see that they just go through in motion. So, but you cannot engage in reflection when you're in a sort of automatic pilot. And so I like this 3 criteria that if you want to engage in true reflection, you need to be open-minded. So we need some flexibility and being open to different viewpoints. responsibility, especially if we are the ones reflecting on our own practice, and being aware that how our actions can influence students and also our classroom environment. And wholeheartedness, dedication to learn something new in each case. Just like, sometimes our students complain that, but there's nothing to learn. Every lesson is like the same, and I keep, seeing the same tasks every day, same questions. But engaging in true reflection says that every moment, just like every moment, is unique. Every lesson is unique, and there's something to learn from that. And so another important scholar, Schön, he brought the term reflective practitioner. And of course, it's not only teachers, but other professionals. And I like this distinction, the so-called expert versus a reflective practitioner. So the expert says that I'm presumed to know and must claim to do so regardless of my uncertainty. Whereas the reflective practitioner is comfortable with uncertainty. So I'm not the only one in this situation to have relevant and important knowledge. My uncertainties may be a source of learning for me and for them. So this could be for being a reflective practitioner as a teacher educator. So for us, I can be uncertain about myself, and my prospective teachers may learn from that. Or I can be the reflective practitioner as a teacher, and my students or other colleagues, they can learn from this. And I like this distinction also because if we are engaged in true reflection, we don't say should, like somebody should do something, or like the teacher didn't do this, but she should have done this, blah, blah. But instead, just kind of proposing they could do this, or, because there's uncertainty. So acknowledging that, reflective practitioner acknowledges that. I think this is also an important component. And I think what bridges with reflection and noticing is these three terms that are rooted in Schön's work: reflection in action, reflection on action. And I think Schön didn't define reflection for actions, but other scholars depended on his work, and they came up with the term reflection for action. So I think in order for a really productive reflection to happen, and for prospective teachers to learn from it, or any practitioner to learn from their reflection and to change, to transform a situation, we need to have this three of these constructs. And this intersection of this black space, it's difficult to do because reflection in action is the one where professionals think on their feet. So many, you see an expert teacher, again, expert, sometimes you say a highly accomplished teacher, or whatever, however you define it, not just an experienced teacher, but you see the teacher so immersed in their job, and they are thinking on their feet. They can do some difficult professional judgments so easily. They look so easy when they are doing it. And this is reflection in action. And reflection on action is after the events, maybe watching a video of their clip, or maybe of their teaching, or maybe discussing it with another colleague, and analyzing the situation. And reflection for action is about thinking about an alternative solution, maybe, or planning for the next lesson. And if it's based on this reflection in action and reflection on action, then it's more likely that it will be a transformed practice. But this is difficult, right? So it's that's why we keep giving this assignments. That's why we want to foster this in teacher education. And we see that it doesn't come so easily for a lot of us even. So I think noticing is actually a framework that helps to develop reflection. And I like one of the most important scholars in the field, Mason. I like this quote: "Every act of teaching depends on noticing what children are doing, how they respond, evaluating what's being said or done against expectation and criteria, and considering what may be said or done next." So in any case, identifying noteworthy, significant moments, making an analysis based on what we know about the situation, and proposing some decisions or proposing some alternatives or thinking about how to make decision. And these are not easy, especially doing that in the moment. So I want us, so that's why we have so many exercises about noticing, and that's why, and for other reasons too, it's becoming more popular to foster a specific kind of reflection in prospective teachers or in-service teachers. So I want us to watch a short video clip, and before the video clip, so this will be like our little noticing activity. So the video is from China. It's the scholar Jo Bowler's. It's from her website where she analyzed some different teachers and one particular teacher from China. And I wanted to show you the task before the video. So the task is which pairs of angles are complementary, which pairs of angles are supplementary. Okay, so the task is this very simple task, and we will watch. It's only about 3 minutes video, and just like other noticing exercises, we will start with a very general prompt. So it could be a longer video. Of course, now we don't have a lot of time, so we'll just watch 3 minutes. And the prompt is, what do you notice in this short clip? What are the most noteworthy moments for you? And how did you decide to select them? So I want you, after you watch the short video, I want you to write in the comments about what do you notice. Okay, you can, if you are not comfortable, you can send it as a private message to me, I think, but I guess it should be okay. You can just write it to the comment chat box too. And there are subtitles, I hope so. I hope you can understand.
为主角。
角2和角3
互为主角。
互为主角。
角5和角1互为主角。
好，互补的有角2与角3，
角5与角1。
角5与角1。
互娱的有角4和角1。
角4和角1，角1与角4。
没了。
能不能挑一个讲一讲到？来。
我讲互娱的那个角。首先我们知道要使两个角互娱，首先两个角度数和是90度，然后角1的度数为35度，然后角4的度数为55度，35度加上55度就等于90度。
角4等于55度。
然后35度加上55度等于90度。
哦。
然后所以角1与角1是角4的余角。
角1是角4的余角，或者说用一个角式来表示。
角1等于90度减去角4。
是怎么会想到角1等于90度减去角4？
因为角1加上角4等于90度，所以角1等于90度减去角4。
你不许讲角1加角4等于90度，是不是？一样吗？一样吗？一样吗？角1加角4等于90度，跟角1等于90度减角4。你说的看，因为
角1等于90度减角4，它其实书上有写，它写的是角阿尔法的余角，角阿尔法是角单。
Okay. So I want to hear. I want you to type a few things that you noticed about this video in the chat. I want to give you like 1 minute, so you can write.
Okay, Didem. May I just say something? Maybe it will be harder to write than, to speak, because it takes time. So maybe you can say later.
I'm not saying like write a whole paragraph. Just like, what's the most catchy thing about the video? Like a few words. It was the task in the beginning. I can show you let me show you on the screen. Okay, so yeah, it was this task. So the angles were this. Okay, very good. Okay, I don't want to take too much time, but you can, even when I'm presenting, you can write a few things and we can discuss later what are the things we noticed and how can we use this kind of exercises in teacher education. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay, thank you for your messages. Okay, so as we see in the video, classrooms are complex environments, right? It's a lot of students in China, in a Chinese classroom, and lots of guests, as some of you noted. It's probably a lesson study event, and there are other professionals who came to observe the lesson. There's a lot going on, and teachers must learn to focus their attention among this chaotic environment, this blooming, buzzing confusion of sensory data. And doing this in the job, of course, they learn this, teachers learn this in their jobs too, but it takes a long time and effort. And what we try to do in teacher education is try to incorporate exercises to facilitate this kind of learning. Because in the most recent teacher competence models, in order to see a more ambitious classroom practices, professional knowledge and beliefs, they are not enough. So they are not, they do not make a good teacher, so to speak. But situation-specific skills have been found important. So professional vision is kind of a more umbrella term also for noticing, but it's how professionals view in a certain field, how professionals view a certain phenomenon. Just like an orthopedist may look at an X-ray report and may put a diagnosis on the patient. A teacher, for example, most of you were watching this video and you were able to spot some specific important moments, right? Whereas a person from another field may notice completely different things, or it depends on also the context, right? If we are Chinese, we can notice different things. Maybe if we are American, if we are also these situation-specific skills, they are affected by our backgrounds, by our professional knowledge, but there are some specific, but it's also separate than our knowledge and our beliefs. This recent models of teacher competence, it requires that we need to help teachers build these situation-specific skills, noticing skills, and reasoning on the spot, knowledge-based reasoning. So, of course, this was a very short video, but normally in longer videos, we can look at how novices and experts, they notice different things. And by noticing, we can mean different things, and I will talk about this. But we said that attending is usually considered as the precursor to noticing. So kind of identifying the significant moments is one of the most important aspects of noticing. And research shows us that, especially in longer videos, how novice and experts pay attention to different things. So for example, let's say if this was even a longer video, a lot of the beginner minds or a lot of prospective teachers, they tend to focus more on the superficial aspects of teaching in the beginning, which is very normal for them. So they could say, okay, this classroom is so crowded, or there's too much going on, or the students are speaking so much, structure of classroom. There's even noticings about attention to teacher personality, kind of judgment, teacher talk, student behaviors. But as it goes to more of an expert perspective, then the attention goes to more specific aspects of classroom discourse and student understanding, student thinking, evidence of student thinking, and relations between teacher actions and student thinking. So what kind of questions did this teacher ask, and what kind of answers were the students giving? And how was the first student's answer different than the second one? So kind of paying attention to the more specific aspects. So of course it's about, it's related to teachers' knowledge, but it's not, it's also something different. And that's why it's considered as a situation-specific skill. Another aspect of noticing, interpretation, and kind of analysis of the situation. And if we compare again novice and experts, as the teachers, become more experienced, not just experienced, but they receive training about noticing and they work on their noticing skills, then evaluation and judgment is replaced with kind of using evidence in making reasoning or establishing relationships between the work of teaching and learning, making connections. For example, in my dissertation, I investigated I called her a highly accomplished teacher, and she was able to make connections, very specific connections compared to the novices in her practice. She was able to remember, not just remember, but connect past events of her teaching with future events very easily. Whereas for the more novice teachers, they were kind of standalone. So there weren't many connections, for example. And if we are talking about noticing, again, it's very large and it's studied under very different frameworks also, because it's difficult to assess that. And today I want to talk more about professional noticing of students' mathematical thinking, because it's kind of the precursor of student-centered teaching. And this is also one of the most commonly used frameworks in noticing. So 3 interrelated skills of attending to children's strategies, interpreting children's understanding, and deciding how to respond on the basis of children's understanding. So as you may see, this is a little bit different than just watching the video and identifying noteworthy moments and making interpretations, but also maybe thinking, like offering alternatives. What could I do as a teacher next? Or what kind of question could I decide? How could I decide to respond, for example? So there's also a decision to respond included in this perspective of noticing. And of course, there are some studies. I mean, we have accumulated evidence that shows that teachers learn to attend to children's strategies. It's trainable, like it's not a static skill. They can learn to interpret, and it may lead to their responding based on children's mathematical understanding, which is probably the most difficult skill. A lot of times our interns, when they are teaching the first time or like in their during their internships, they have this is the most difficult one, because no matter how much mathematics they know, no matter how well they plan, they can be thrown off by some kind of misconception that they didn't anticipate. So, but of course, it doesn't always go smoothly as this, right? It doesn't always lead to responding. But there are some studies that show, even though responding doesn't come as easily, it usually comes as a hierarchy as the latest one to be developed. And still, you might ask, okay, still, why do we want noticing? So we can make interpretations, we can watch a lot of videos, but how are they going to help us as being teachers? So like we said, this is a basis for student-centered teaching, being able to respond, kind of the ultimate goal, being able to respond to students in the moment of teaching. And it's difficult practice to observe, in not just in Turkey, in other countries too. So there's a lot of evidence that teachers' ability to build upon student thinking during instruction is associated with students' mathematics achievement and understanding. And also, this prospective teachers' skills in noticing, they are not only good for watching videos, but there's a transfer to other important issues about teaching. For example, it's found to be positively related with instructional quality in the moment noticing practices. So if a teacher is able to identify noteworthy moments in the video, they are more likely to be pay attention to student thinking and build instruction on student thinking during their practices. And also lesson planning practices, which that was also my study, that they were positively related with each other. So how to assess teacher noticing if it's so important? It's very difficult because in the moment it's a fleeting moment, and we don't know how to assess in the best ways, but there are different ways. So reflections on video cases is one of the most popular ones, on the self, on other colleagues, sometimes exemplary teaching. Using classroom artifacts, student work, student written work, field work journals like we always do in the internship, or there are even some tests which I'm not sure, I'm a little cautious with this, but of course with large data, there are some tests about teacher noticing. In assessing noticing, importance of perspectives is also important. For example, viewing videos from different perspectives changes the way we notice. So it can be these noticing exercises or trainings can be done from student perspective. So students may wear head cameras and teachers may view those clips. Or it can be teacher perspective cameras, like I used in my dissertation. Researcher view, this is mostly the most common one. Or one of the latest technologies, 360-degree headsets. So, for example, this is the one on top is a regular from a researcher perspective, and the one in the bottom is like is the one with the 360-degree headset. So in some projects, prospective teachers are engaged in identifying noteworthy situations by looking at the videos from this perspective, and the initial results say that they may capture more details in student strategies. But of course, it's a very new technology. I just wanted to show you that there are different ways to assess teacher noticing, and it's difficult, and there are different ways it's conceptualized. And some interventions, you are probably familiar with most of them. Video clubs, where teachers bring their videos of teaching. They discuss with their peers, their colleagues. and they are part of a learning community, including e-mentoring. Like it can be done by long distance education, distance education, including electronic mentoring, where I was also a part of those projects. Prospective teachers or in-service teachers, they sometimes engage in lesson study, where they plan together. The cycles may be longer or shorter, but they plan together with their peers. They study for a lesson, they observe each other, they implement one lesson cycle, and they reflect on it. And these interventions are found to help with teacher noticing. Video annotation with tools like Edpuzzle. Prospective teachers watch videos of whole class or students' mathematical thinking, and they mark some important moments of videos, and these also are helpful. Conducting clinical interviews with students, analyzing videos of students and their own practice as prospective teachers. Engaging in research about noticing, this was also found helpful. Lately, one of our projects, Online Lab School, we are doing the second cycle, but as our department, we believe it's also helping our prospective teachers noticing. Maybe I can mention briefly here. So in this online laboratory school, just like Divi's laboratory school, where teacher education takes place in a school, which is more in line with the goals of the teacher education, our teacher candidates teach online lessons to regular students. So it's a school, it has a principal, it has teachers, but everything is online on the internet. So engaging in a short version of lesson study, the prospective teachers plan lessons together with peers and supervisors, including experienced supervisors, experienced teachers. They notice mathematics and student thinking in lesson plans. They engage in online teaching with a peer. And also in the online teaching, we use Blackboard platform. Maybe it's similar to Moodle or even in the Zoom. When you are observing someone, like I can receive your private messages from the chat. Just like that, we, as a supervisor, sometimes we write feedback or we write some comments from the moderator chat box where it's visible to the only teacher, the prospective teacher, but not the students. So with technology, I think we have different ways of helping teachers with their noticing skills and with their teaching skills. So we can give feedback from the moderator chat box, but also after the lesson, just like a regular observation, we reflect on the lesson with the prospective teacher. And after that, we have a collective reflection session where the teachers who teach, for example, the same class, like for example, there are 4 fourth grades that they teach the same plan, and they can discuss here most important things that they noticed in the class. And also supervisors, they observed the same class. So they share their noticings within this learning community. And we are finding that it's helping them pay attention to more significant aspects of teaching. Of course, it's a little bit different in online teaching. But yes, we are in the process of doing research about this. So I hope in another session I can bring results of their improved noticing. I don't know, but that's what we hope or we hypothesize right now. Okay, I just want to finish with a cartoon. I like this cartoon a lot. So it says, Adam can get irritable and moody at times. So I secretly replaced his caffeinated coffee with decaf. Let's see if he notices. I guess technically to notice something, you have to be awake. So he fell asleep. I hope you didn't fall asleep. I hope you found interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. I hope it wasn't too long. But I'm happy to answer your questions. I have my email here. I want to thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Didem Hocam. We may take questions from our participants if they have any.
Yes, please. Thank you for having me.
Can I ask a question, because I couldn't raise my hand?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, online I couldn't do it. I don't know why. It didn't allow me. I know why. All right. Okay. I have two questions, but I'll ask one first and maybe later, after you take some questions.
Yes.
About this, you said that during this online teaching with prospective teachers, as moderators, you chat with them, right? So what is your purpose there? Like it gets harder. I asked that question because it gets harder to pay attention to different things while teaching, right? Even while talking.
Yes.
So, yeah. So what's your purpose? Like, what's it that you would like to establish there, rather than reflecting on? Also, you reflect on the same lesson together with different participants. Actually, it's from different. I mean, all grades that you said, but yeah.
Yes. So it's difficult because sometimes we do it to help the prospective teachers to be able to elicit student thinking, because for some of them they are third year students and they don't have a lot of experience. But yes, there has to be a balance, because you cannot just keep writing, and it may be like you say, it may get confusing. And some of them are better at handling those than others too, depending on the lesson, maybe depending on their knowledge, their personality. I don't know. It's a complex thing. But sometimes they can improve their practice based on that comments. So they can, for example, instead of maybe they will just close the discussion, but we don't see if the students are understanding the point or not. Then maybe I can suggest, let's ask a why question, for example, or maybe let's wrap up before, because sometimes they are not so much aware of the time. So little tips and yes, sometimes I've had some cases where I was doing too much, and I was noticing about myself to not interfere too much, because it's also not very useful. But a lot of times they appreciate it, because they also understand, okay, what question to ask better. And of course, I may not always know the best question either, but it's just like, I like to see it as a helpful advice. Just like, sometimes you want to whisper in somebody's ear, okay, what can you do to improve your practice? Something like that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I agree with you, Didem Hocam. As you know, I studied reflection in action in my dissertation as well. And I can see the point that you provided the instant questions or comments through the chat box while they are doing online peer teaching. You kind of try to encourage them to be involved in, to be engaged in instant or like impromptu decision making during teaching. And I can also view that session as a practice session where you can provide support through your comments, like little comments through chat box to your prospective teacher candidates. So actually that gave me an idea, maybe in the future, like we can design such kind of studies and using technologies, because nowadays everybody is teaching online, and we are actually conducting peer teaching sessions in online learning environments. And also one more comment that like come to my mind, you suggested video clubs for practicing noticing. What I see in the literature, actually video clubs are suggested for usually for reflection on action. When they when they finish their lessons, they can watch their recordings and then reflect upon their recorded video classes, right?
Yes. It's basically reflection on action, but it's presumed. I mean,
it still helps.
That it helps with the reflection in action, which is it wasn't really researched before. I think we have very recent evidence that it also transfers to the reflection in action. Those skills it may transfer. But a lot of people criticize noticing research because of that, because it's mostly based on reflection on or interpretation, and so the comment may be like, what's the use, right? Like you are just watching videos and making comments. So
it is difficult to implement as a research study as well. Difficult to design those prompts, like instant prompts that you may suggest to teacher candidates during their teaching, in the moment of teaching. So it is challenging.
Impossible. Because it's impossible.
That is why maybe we can use like affordances of technologies to make it viable.
So for example, like I also mentioned, I use teacher perspective video. This is considered one of the rare things that's closest to reflection in action, because teachers can mark using the video, they can mark or identify specific moments. With others, you cannot do it in the moments. It's always reflection on action. So yes, technology is becoming very helpful for that.
Okay, we may take other questions or comments.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
sure.
I'm sorry if I missed that part, but so you suggested some ways to increase teacher noticing and etc. I mean, the topics you talked. What kind of procedures do you suggest to test whether teachers increase their noticing skills or not? So how can we understand that they improve that skill?
Yes, so we have different frameworks to assess, but for example, on some levels, on attending, for example, after watching these kind of videos, if the comments or if what prospective teachers pay attention to are on a judgmental level, or if they are about superficial aspects of teaching, then it shows that they are not at the desired level of noticing, or like they are not at a more advanced level of noticing. But if they start to think about detailed ways of student understanding in the video, or they start to propose alternatives to the video, they start to make connections between other, for example, making connections between a class you took in undergraduate, like with methods section, with methods class, and you make a connection with that, or you make a connection with another theory that you know. So I think if you are far from judgmental and like just evaluation, okay, just saying, okay, the teacher asked very good questions, so it doesn't mean anything unless you give some evidence. So you give some evidence and you give specific details showing that you paid attention to the significant things about the class. So for example, there are some frameworks that show from you know, the basic levels of noticing and more extended or advanced levels of noticing. And I just mentioned some of the dimensions of those frameworks, but there are different frameworks.
Gülseren Hocam, we may take your second question if you would like.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. In one of the slides, you show a model for learning noticing, right? First, students, they focus on important issues, then they start, strategies, let's say student strategies, and then student teachers start interpreting those important events, and then they start responding to students like in action, right, during their teaching.
Yeah, it's the let's say it's hypothesized that there's an order like that. It doesn't always maybe it's not always the case, but
That's
kind
right.
of the hierarchy that you can probably not respond in the most advanced ways if you are not paying attention to the right things. So if you are already just looking at teacher actions, for example, it's not very likely that you will probably be able to give very specific suggestions about responding, for example.
Okay, all right. So I was going to ask you, like, what is your purpose in the research now you are doing with prospective teachers, and in regards with this a model for learning noticing? Like, are you trying to? What's your purpose in that research?
Mm-hmm. That research has different. It's about prospective teachers. I think professional development. It can be seen as, I think. The online teaching skills, kind of also focusing on the learning community aspect of it. I think that's one of the most important things for us. But I'm hypothesizing that because of all these activities that are mentioned in noticing research, that their noticing will probably change. I don't know yet, but we are doing some assessments about that too. So it's not the main purpose, but it's looking at their professional developments from the beginning to the end, and also capturing the environment that facilitates that learning community. So it's not only based on noticing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Engin, do you have a question?
I do actually, yes.
Yeah.
Didem, I just wanted to ask you about whether this particular research design and the specific study you're conducting at the moment in the lab school for teacher reflection, whether you think it's methodologically the right way forward, or you're conducting this research because it's the only kind of research you can conduct at the moment. Why I'm asking this, just one more sentence, why I'm asking is that the teaching can only be done in a particular way. Many people claim that it's really a poor form of teaching, but we do it only because we have to at the moment. We're caught on the wrong foot. But then do we have to do the same for research as well? Is it desperate to be done now, or whether it would be more convenient to wait for a more appropriate time to conduct this study? I just want to hear your thoughts on.
you mean in the pandemic because it's online teaching, or?
Yes, actually, that's kind of what I'm referring to.
I mean, there are different aspects to your question, but I think it's an opportunity because it looks like this virtual field experience is nowhere to be gone. Like, it's kind of the starting, I think, of. I think it will stay with us. This virtual internship. It has been popular in the. I mean, this I don't call it officially internship, but it's part of this field work and kind of mentoring someone as they online teach. Online teaching is going to be more and more popular, I think, and we will learn to do it more and more effectively, I think. So I think it's helpful for me as a teacher educator too, to learn to be able to investigate prospective teacher learning in this context, in this, how can we support them better while they're engaged in virtual teaching. So I find it important. In terms of noticing, there are so many ways to investigate noticing. If my purpose, for example, I want to work with in-service teachers about to really study, just like I did in my dissertation, because I think that's one of the best ways to do it in class or in the moment. Noticing is like through this teacher perspective, video cameras, and it's a different setting and it's difficult to arrange it because of the like voluntary participants and the video ethical issues. And so in Turkey, there are different things to consider. Like I would like to do that kind of research too. But at the moment to investigate prospective teachers' learning in this environment, I am excited to do that because I think we will need to learn how to teach prospective teachers and how to support their noticing their knowledge in the online environment. So I'm excited about that. Also, I was also engaged before pandemic. I was in a study with other colleagues about distance mentoring of novice teachers. And actually in that study, we have results that the teachers improved their noticings, and they so it can be a very effective way, especially in the in conditions of living in Istanbul, like in a big city, collecting data or visiting teachers. So it can be helpful. I mean, it's a long answer, but I hope I understood you correctly. We can talk later too. Thank you, Yasemin Hocam. Thank you, Engin Hocam.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I think, we can wrap it up. Thank you very much, Didem Hocam. Thank you for thank you all for joining us for this session. Our next seminar will be on January 8th with Dr. Burçin Ünlü from Physics Department. So we are looking forward to seeing you all there. Okay. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.